Talk to the people.
Oh, hold on, I want to be funny.
People are really starting to worry about Kodak Black right now. Fans are even saying that if he doesn't get help soon, we might lose him. This all started when a clip of Kodak eating chicken in the middle of the road went viral. In the video, he looks out of it, and people can tell something's wrong. Fans were quick to share their concerns, and many said they are scared for him. Things got so serious that even Kanye West stepped in. He spoke out, asking other rappers and people around Kodak to help him out. Kanye made it clear that someone needs to step in before things get worse. Everyone's hoping that the right people will support Kodak, so he can get back to being the person they know and love. It's a tough time for him, but fans and artists are hoping he can turn things around with the help he needs. In Atlanta that knows him and knows anything about I know I said rappers and all that, but right now I need y'all man to really go and do something like we can't. I know y'all think I'm crashing out. Why you see me talking I'm expressing myself and look man please don't I know IH. After seeing that video, I honestly just wanted to go down there and help Kodak myself. But what happened later that night made it even clearer that he really needs help. Kodak was walking around his room, saying he's Drake's favorite rapper, which could be true. But the bigger problem was that he was with the wrong crowd. Instead of helping him, the people around him were just filming while he struggled. They should have put the camera down and called his family or someone who could actually help. It's tough to watch someone like Kodak go through this without anyone stepping up for him. Kodak Black opened up on Instagram Live, sharing some personal thoughts and frustrations. He admitted to having made some mistakes, but he was hoping people would understand the full picture. He explained that on February 28, 2023, he had been caught in a situation where he was just sleeping in front of my family's house, and that nothing serious had happened. He wasn't trying to make excuses, but he felt upset seeing his personal life spread across the internet.
I'm gonna fly down to Atlanta right now and do something. So anybody that's already down in Atlanta that knows him and knows anything about, I know I said rappers and all that, but right now,
Kodak felt like people didn't know the whole story, and it frustrated him when people judged him without knowing everything that was going on in his life. He shared that he was out of it, but it wasn't anything crazy. It was just one of those moments where he was caught in a tough situation, and he didn't want people to think the worst of him. While he admitted to making some mistakes, Kodak also wanted to set the record straight and ask people to stop hating on him. His message was clear. He owned up to his actions, but he hoped others would be more understanding and not just pile on with negative comments. It was a raw and emotional moment for him as he was trying to navigate his personal struggles in the public eye. However, things took a dramatic turn shortly after his Instagram live session. The feds raided Kodak's Florida home. They arrested him and seized a number of items from his house. It was evident that his situation had escalated, and the stakes were much higher now. What seemed like a personal issue that could be worked through quickly had now become a legal battle that Kodak would have to face. The intense scrutiny from the public and the legal troubles he was facing made it clear that things were getting out of control for the rapper. His life was being picked apart in the media, and it seemed like his past actions were catching up with him. Despite all the challenges, Kodak had always been open about his struggles, but now he found himself in a position where his freedom was at risk. As the authorities dug deeper into his life, it was unclear where things would go from there. His fans, once supportive, began to feel concerned about where Kodak's journey was headed. Would he be able to turn things around again? Or would this be another chapter in a downward spiral that seemed too tough to break out of? The events after the raid only added to the pressure Kodak was under. While he had admitted to some mistakes, it was becoming increasingly difficult for him to manage his personal life in the public eye. The road ahead looked uncertain, and the consequences of his actions were starting to stack up. Arrested, he would then hire his lawyer Brian Cohen to come bail him out. However, he wasn't able.
Drake's favorite rapper.
Who?
I'm his favorite rapper.
You Drake favorite rapper?
Yeah.
Nah.
He always say that. Even his people always say that.
To instead, he secured a deal to have Kodak Black sent to a rehab center rather than sitting in jail for who knows how long. At a hearing, a technician testified that there might have been a mix-up with Kodak Black's drug test results, possibly confusing his samples with someone else's. The judge suggested they could resolve this by using a hair sample to clarify things, but Kodak refused. Instead, he decided to check into the Legacy Rehabilitation Center for 30 days as part of his pretrial release. This decision was a major turning point in Kodak's life. He chose to step away from the music industry for over a year. During that time, he didn't release any new songs or share updates on social media. Instead, he focused entirely on himself and his recovery. It was a difficult period, but it became clear that he needed to take that break in order to regain control of his life. While in rehab, Kodak distanced himself from the public eye, and many people started to forget about him. It seemed like he had faded from the spotlight, but during his time away, something important happened. He used that time to reflect on himself and work on his music. He wrote a lot of new songs, worked on his physical health, and really tried to improve himself. Although it was a quiet period in his career, he was making real progress behind the scenes. When Kodak left Rehab, he didn't waste any time getting back into his music career. Just 1 week after his release, he dropped a new song called Walk. The song quickly became a hit, racking up 33 million views and climbing the music charts. It was clear that his time away from the spotlight had paid off. He was coming back stronger and more focused, with new music that his fans were excited about. The success of Walk showed that despite the struggles Kodak had faced, he still had the talent and drive to make a huge impact. The song's rapid rise was proof that people hadn't forgotten about him, and they were ready for his return. This was a big moment for Kodak. His comeback song was not just about music, it was a sign of how far he had come in his personal life as well. It wasn't just about the chart success, though. Kodak was clearly determined to stay on the right path after everything he had been through. His time in rehab gave him the space to reflect and grow, and it showed in his music and attitude. Fans who had been worried about him began to feel relieved, seeing that he was on a better path. Kodak's journey wasn't easy, but he was proving that he was capable of turning things around. His story became one of redemption and hope, not just for himself but for those who had followed his career and believed in his potential. Kodak Black was back, and it looked like he was ready to take control of his life and his career once again. But as often happens, success seemed to get to Kodak's head. He appeared on a live stream with Kaizen, hoping to reignite his career. However, during the stream, Kodak was seen acting in ways that raised concern.
That's it. I was on that joint, sleep in front of my people's house, but that ain't illegal.
It was a reminder that, despite his success, he was still struggling to stay focused and grounded. Swatting at things that aren't even there and shouting random things scaring K, not in the process you can't always say, but at times when it feel good that's when you say it. Sometimes yeah I thought your name was Bubble. Hey, the morning after the live stream, Kodak Black would hop on IG Live trying to explain the situation that happened on Kai's stream. Kodak Black had been dealing with a lot of negativity from people around him, and it was clear that some of them weren't really looking out for him. Instead, they were using his struggles to get attention. Many of these people were going through their own tough times and tried to grab the spotlight by pretending to care about Kodak's well-being, even though their actions weren't genuine. It became obvious that their main goal was to get noticed, even if it meant trying to act like they were trying to help him. When Kodak left rehab, it seemed like he was making a strong return. He had millions of fans supporting him, and people were hopeful that he had turned a corner. His comeback showed a lot of promise, and fans were excited to see him back in action. But unfortunately, his recovery didn't last long. Just a short time after returning to the spotlight, Kodak made a big mistake during a live stream. He was seen breaking his sobriety and acting out in front of hundreds of thousands of people. It was a disappointing moment, and many of his fans were heartbroken. They had been rooting for him, but seeing him relapse like that left them questioning his future and whether he would be able to truly change. Kodak's struggles continued for months, and they couldn't be ignored anymore. Even Boosie, a close friend and fellow rapper, took notice of what was going on. He was genuinely worried about Kodak and reached out to him in a heartfelt way. Boosie said, "Man, we're all concerned. You don't look healthy, and from what we can see, something's clearly wrong. I don't believe you're just doing this for fun. It seems like you're trying to fill some kind of emptiness inside of you. I've been in that place before, but by God's grace, I've come out of it. I'm clean and strong now, and I've broken those chains. I want to see you do the same." Boosie's message was full of care and understanding. He wasn't just speaking to Kodak as a friend, but as someone who had been through similar struggles. He understood what it felt like to be in that dark place and wanted to help Kodak find his way out. Boosie knew how tough it could be, but he also knew that it was possible to overcome those challenges and come out stronger on the other side. His words were meant to inspire Kodak to keep fighting, to remind him that he had the strength to make it through and make a real change in his life. But despite Boosie's encouragement and the support of many other fans, Kodak's journey wasn't easy. The pressures around him, along with his own internal struggles, continued to pull him in different directions. It was clear that Kodak was dealing with more than just the public's expectations or his career. He was facing deep personal issues, things that weren't so easy to fix with a simple apology or public
Y'all be on say all type of stupid. But I take you one. And y'all be so hurt. Y'all wanna like her anyway. Yeah.
It was going to take time, and he needed the right kind of support to make it through. Over time, many people started to realize that Kodak needed more than just the occasional pep talk. He needed a solid support system that genuinely cared about him, not just his success or his image. But unfortunately, it seemed like Kodak was still surrounded by the wrong people, those who weren't there to truly help him, but to get something from him. That made his road to recovery even harder, as he was stuck in a cycle of negative influences and difficult choices. Despite these setbacks, there was still hope. Kodak's fans, Boosie, and others in the industry who genuinely cared for him were still hoping that he would find a way out of the dark place he was in. The truth was, many people still believed in his potential. They knew that underneath all the struggles, Kodak had a lot to offer, not just as an artist, but as a person. But for that to happen, he had to make the decision to fight for himself and surround himself with the right people who would support him no matter what. Kodak's story was a reminder that the road to recovery is rarely easy. It's filled with setbacks, challenges, and moments of doubt. But what mattered most was that he didn't give up, and the people who cared about him kept encouraging him to stay strong. Even though things weren't looking great for him in the moment, there was always a chance for change as long as he kept trying. And hopefully, Kodak would find the strength he needed to make that change for himself and for the people who believed in him. Boosie really wanted to help Kodak. He said, "I've been through it, so I can speak on this. You need to make a choice, bro. You've got so many people looking up to you. As a father, you have to set the right example for your son. I care about you, and if you ever want to talk or sit down and break bread, I'm here." But things took a bad turn just 1 week later. Kodak was seen at a public football game in his area, and a fan approached him. The fan told Kodak how much he loved his music and admired him. But instead of feeling supported, it just seemed like Kodak was getting caught up in the wrong crowd again. The moment showed that, despite the love and encouragement, Kodak still wasn't making the changes he needed. He is sober leading into COD responding pretty aggressively as he's been dealing with all of the hate coming from Cart's stream. At a recent football game, Kodak Black found himself in an uncomfortable situation. While watching the game, a fan approached him and asked, "Hey Kodak, what do you think about the Ravens? And what about Lamar Jackson? What's your take on him?" Kodak gave his usual response, but it wasn't as smooth or engaging as it usually might have been. He said, "Yak in the city. Yeah, yak in the city." His response, though typical of his personality, seemed off. It was clear from his behavior that something wasn't right. Instead of the fun, light-hearted interaction fans might expect, this moment served as a clear sign that Kodak wasn't in a good place mentally or emotionally. The tweet that followed, from concerned NFL fans, reflected just how worried people
Well, right now, man, we worried about you. You don't look too healthy. And from the outside looking in, it's obvious that you're and I don't believe for 1 second you just doing
for him. It read, "NFL fans are worried for rapper Kodak Black as his health has appeared off while showing love to star quarterback Lamar Jackson." This tweet summed up what many people had been thinking for a while, that Kodak wasn't the same as he once was. Fans and people in the industry who had been keeping an eye on him noticed that he seemed to be spiraling. He was struggling with something deeper than just the usual ups and downs of fame. And this interaction at the football game made it painfully clear to those watching that Kodak's health and well-being were in serious jeopardy. But instead, they wanted to offer him the perspective that sometimes you need to pause, take a step back, and really think about the decisions you're making before it's too late. This kind of advice was exactly what Kodak needed, but whether he would listen and take it to heart remained uncertain. The problem with fame is that it's often difficult to recognize when you need help, especially when you're surrounded by people who either don't have your best interests at heart or don't know how to help you. For Kodak, the support he needed had to come from people who understood his struggles and weren't just interested in his fame or his money. Wallow and Jilly were stepping in as real friends, trying to give Kodak the wake-up call he desperately needed. Even though Kodak was still dealing with a lot of internal chaos, the support from figures like Wallow and Jilly was a reminder that there were still people who cared about him. The road to recovery and personal growth is never easy, especially when you're dealing with addiction, mental health struggles, and the overwhelming pressures that come with being in the public eye. But what mattered was that Kodak had people in his corner who wanted him to succeed and be healthy, not just as an artist, but as a person. "Never doubt yourself, you got them babies counting on you," referring to his children. "Don't never doubt yourself, you got them babies counting on you. It's going to be times where you're going to doubt yourself, you're going to be in pain. But them babies counting on you, you got to be here, and I'm telling you that because a lot of people get around you and they see your success and they say, oh man, a lot of people need you, and they yes man you, I ain't here to yes man you, you know me every time we connect you. Wallace spoke to Kodak with a lot of heart, saying, I got love for you, not because I need something from you, but because you're a young man, and I see a lot of myself and Gil in you. We were young once too. I'm telling you this because I can see the way you light up when you talk about your kids. You've got so much love for them. People can laugh, joke, and criticize all they want, but they don't know your pain. I don't know it either, but one thing I do know is that your kids are counting on you. You've got to think about them. Waller was trying to get Kodak to see the bigger picture and realize that, despite everything going wrong in his life, his kids needed him more than anything. Kodak Black's situation is bigger than just him. He has 5 kids and is also the main provider for his mom and siblings. A viral tweet captured what a lot of people feel. Every time I see Kodak, it makes me sad. The man has 4 baby mamas, and none of them seem to care about him for real. Why aren't they helping him? It feels like they are just waiting for him to fall. This tweet really shines a light on how Kodak's surrounded by people but not the right kind of support. It's clear that without the right people backing him, it's harder for him to stay on track and make it through his struggles. Kodak Black realized that no matter how much money you have, life can still be really tough. He decided to apologize for everything that had happened, so he hopped on DJ Academic stream to say sorry. Honestly, I'm sorry to everybody, he said. I'm sorry to the people I hurt. I'm sorry if you don't understand me, and I'm sorry if you don't like me. I'm just sorry, man. It was his way of showing he understood his mistakes and genuinely wanted to make things right. Kodak Black took a moment to apologize for his past mistakes. He said, I was wrong, and I'm sorry for all the times I made my mom cry. I'm sorry to all the girls I hurt, for breaking their hearts, and for disrespecting them. His mom accepted his apology, but sadly, things didn't stay on track for long. Kodak soon slipped back into his old habits. During an Instagram live, he shared his feelings, saying, the whole world is on this stuff, and we're just waiting for it to catch up with us, while others are doing the same. It was clear he felt stuck, struggling to break free from the cycle he was in. Kodak Black shared some thoughts about patience, saying, a lot of people don't know how to just let time do its thing. You have to let time work things out. Time heals everything, whether it's your mind or your heart. You've got to be patient. Love is patient. Love is kind. It doesn't make sense to go at things with anger or aggression. The whole world is just waiting for something to happen, and that feeling of waiting for things to change can be really unsettling. Kodak Black went back on Instagram Live the next day, still feeling uncertain about his situation. He took a moment to respond to Kanye West's message of support. Kodak said, Kanye is a real one. You know why? He's the only one still messing with Diddy. I bet the feds are going to freeze his accounts, but Kanye did something real for me. He's been there, and I respect that. So, I'm going to team up with him, and together, we're going to make some money and keep moving forward. It was clear Kodak appreciated Kanye's loyalty and saw this as a chance to make some positive moves with his help. Why call you a real one? You know why you a real one, cause like I'm some kind like I only did cause he know he a lot of.